Hey guys, welcome back to the show. I'm Glenn. As always, I have Jan here with me at the studio, and we are the
Night Parade Podcast. That is right. In this story, a man was attacked by his jealous ex-girlfriend, and you won't believe what happened next. Here's the case of Mark Van Dongen. Let's get started.
Let's do it. Mark Van Dongen. On the morning of September 23rd, 2015, in the city of Bristol in the UK, Dr. Nick White was awakened by her doorbell. It was ringing. A man was screaming and he could be heard from outside. Dr. White opened her curtains and saw a man in his underwear. It looked like he was covered in mud from his head to his shoulders. He was begging for someone to help him. Suddenly, a man came running from nearby apartments. His name was Thomas Sweet, and he had a golf club in his hands. He was an onlooker trying to assist whoever was screaming. At first, he thought the screaming was coming from a couple of foxes, but he realized that a person was screaming, and so he ran to help. A few other people also came to help, and they looked closely at him. When they did, they realized that he wasn't covered in mud. His skin was literally melting off of his face, and it was coming off in large clumps.
What's happening, please?
Somebody threw acid over there.
Someone threw acid over his face, apparently.
Did acid thrown over his face?
Yeah. So who did this to you, please?
Alright, so that was the emergency call that was made that night. It was horrific. So the man's name was Mark Van Dongen, and he was an engineer studying abroad in the UK, and he was originally from the Netherlands. He was around 28 years old at the time of the attack, and so he had actually been in a long-term relationship with this woman, Berlina Wallace, and she was actually almost 20 years older than him. They met in 2010, and she was a fashion student. In August of 2015, the relationship was actually on its last legs. Mark's friends had often seen Mark with scratches and bruises all over his body. On one occasion, Berlina had actually poured boiling water all over him while he was asleep.
Oh, what?
Yeah, not the best thing to do to your boyfriend or to somebody, anybody you love.
Dude, even just a regular, cold water, if you get like sprayed on while you're sleeping, I'd be freaking pissed.
Yeah. Oh
right?
my gosh, yeah. But boiling water?
Boiling water, dude? Oh my god, that's a case right there,
Yeah,
dude.
this man was being abused.
That's not even a prank, dude. Like,
Yeah.
that's crazy.
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh my gosh. At this point, that's when Mark decided to leave her. Good for him.
Mm-hmm.
That's when he started seeing someone else. It was found that 21 days prior to the acid attack, Berlina had searched up a certain topic on her computer. Lo and behold, acid attacks. She actually searched up 82 different cases, and as well as the effects that they had on those victims. Then she went on to Amazon and she bought a bottle of concentrated sulfuric acid.
You can get that from Amazon?
I guess you can.
Damn.
That should be considered a weapon right there.
Right. Yeah, that's... I thought only, freaking scientists got that. Something like that.
Apparently you can get it on Amazon. I don't know if you still can, but maybe.
That's pretty crazy, though.
That's not something that you threaten somebody to.
Yeah.
So on that same day, Mark had actually called the police because Berlina had actually been harassing him and his new girlfriend. She would call his new girlfriend and remain completely silent on the line as some form of intimidation. Berlina actually had also threatened Mark with So Mark actually also called his father and told him that he was actually genuinely scared of Berlina. As anybody would be. I mean,
shoot, I ain't going near that girl.
Yeah. After all that shit that she did to him.
Honestly, dude.
Yeah. So let's talk about that fateful day. It was September 22nd, 2015. And Mark, he went over to Berlina's flat to talk things out. He wanted to reiterate that they were no longer a couple. He had a new girlfriend and everything.
Right.
Wanted things to go well. But he also wanted to stay on good terms with Berlina because she's a psychopath. For some reason, Mark decided to stay the night, and around 3 a.m. On September 23rd, Mark was sleeping in his bed when Berlina had gotten up and she grabbed a cup of that acid that she had bought. Then she walked into the bedroom that Mark was in. She woke him up by laughing and stating, "If I can't have you, then nobody can." Then she threw the entire cup of concentrated sulfuric acid directly into his face. Instantly, Mark suffered tremendous pain. He managed to run outside though, to a nearby neighbor's house. The entire time he was screaming in agony and begging for help. The neighbors called the emergency services and explained that his girlfriend had thrown acid in his face. Then they helped him into the house and helped him take a cold shower to try and soothe the pain. So paramedics said that Mark was in a horrendous state. He was foaming at the mouth. There was extremely severe chemical burns to his face, chest, shoulders, arms, and leg. He was given pain relievers and rushed to the hospital. He was complaining that he couldn't see. One of his irises had actually been dissolved. Mark told the police that it was Berlina Wallace, and he begged for them to go check and see if his girlfriend was okay to make sure that she didn't suffer the same fate. Berlina was then arrested, and Mark's new girlfriend was checked and she was okay. At the hospital, Mark caught a glimpse of himself in the mirror and he screamed. He no longer wished to be alive after that.
Well, let's talk about his healing process. So Mark had to be put into a medically induced coma for about 6 months, and he could only breathe with a ventilator. The acid damaged a large portion of his lower left leg, and it had to be amputated because the acid had burned through his skin, muscles, and even bones. His bones were full of cavities, and this caused him a lot of pain. One of his ears and nose were completely gone. So after that, the police informed his family, who lived in the Netherlands, and it took them about 10 days to find his family. And when they arrived at the hospital, the staff told them where to find Mark. After searching for him at the hospital, they came back and told the staff that Mark was not in that room that they said he was in. But Mark was actually in the exact room that the staff told them. They were just unable to recognize Mark because of his injuries. When they let Mark out of his medically induced coma, he only had movement in his mouth, tongue. After some time in recovery, he was able to start talking again. However, he was paralyzed from the neck down. All this pain and trauma, coupled with not being able to move, Mark became incredibly depressed. Understandably.
Yeah.
His injuries were so severe that police decided that the pictures that they took of Mark should never be released. From this point on, Mark would need a lifetime of constant care. On November 22nd, 2016, a care home was found for Mark, and Mark only spent one night at this home before he called his father and told him to pick him up. And he pleaded and pleaded and pleaded to please pick me up. His father drove 800 miles to pick up his son from the home that they just dropped him off at. Once Mark's father got to the home, he found Mark alone in his room, lying in his own feces. So his father got Mark out of there as soon as possible, as soon as he can. He got his son out of there. His family and friends managed to hire a private ambulance to bring Mark back to his country. Then they found a much better care home for Mark, where he was able to be taken care of properly. As if things couldn't get any worse, Mark develops a lung infection. The doctors needed to insert a tube into his throat to remove the liquid, and the operation meant that Mark could no longer speak. Speaking with his family was Mark's only solace, and they took it away from him. Now that he was unable to speak, Mark decided to apply for euthanasia, which is legal in Belgium, and Mark's application was accepted. And on January 2nd, 2017, Mark spent some quality time with his father for the last time. Soon, the doctors arrived to do their deed, and Mark was pronounced dead at 7:15 p.m. And Mark was only 29 years old.
I'm 29 years old.
Really young, dude. I can't.
That's crazy to think about.
Wow.
This poor guy.
Yeah.
He was burned for 78%. His eye was gone, his nose, his ear, his leg. On the arm, heel muscle was gone. Right about here is gone. The acid are fluid all over.
Okay, so that was the video of Mark's brother talking about how he looked like. You could tell they were pretty broken up about it, and
Yeah.
Mark sounded like he was in a really horrendous condition, and I feel so bad for him
For sure.
and the family too.
Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about the trial. Okay, it began in 2018, and Berlina's defense argued that Mark died during the euthanasia process, so she could not be guilty of his killing. So Berlina accused Mark of being controlling and violent towards her during the relationship. She claimed she believed that she was throwing a glass of water at him, not acid. She came up with numerous lies and excuses for her actions. Her search history showed premeditation, as we
Right.
talked about.
Right.
She did her research. She knew exactly what she was doing, and she was attempting to destroy Mark's life,
Right.
without a doubt.
For sure.
And it was found that she even tested the acid on a table beforehand,
Yeah.
just to see how corrosive it was. The judge of the case called the attack premeditated, sadistic, malicious, and callous. She stated that Berlina was manipulative, controlling, and dangerous. She said to Berlina, "Your intention was to burn, disfigure, and disable Mark so that he would no longer be attracted to any other woman. It was an act of pure evil." And it really was.
Yeah, that was really pure evil. The judge was right. Because Berlina showed absolutely no remorse for her actions. She was cleared of murder and manslaughter, and she was also found guilty of throwing a corrosive substance with intent, and she was sentenced to a minimum of 12 years in prison. Now, there's something interesting. Here's something to think about for you guys. There are now marks on the doorbell he rang that night, the doorbell that Mark rang, and some of the metal had actually been corroded. That's how freaking toxic that acid was
Yeah.
that Berlina threw at Mark.
It burned through metal.
Metal, which is, you can see it right there, you guys, which is insane. Oh my goodness.
Oh, shoot. So this is our first acid attack case, and we're starting with a case where there's no pictures of the victim after
Right.
the attack available to the public, at least.
Right. I mean, do y'all really want to see those pictures? Because I don't. That's, that's really horrifying to see. If you see some, acid burns,
Mm-hmm.
that's...
Yeah.
I saw the freaking sheets. Even the sheets look disgusting.
Yeah, if you take a look at the sheets from that horrible night,
Right.
it's... Oh, God, dude.
Oh my God. And I can't even imagine. That's... ooh.
It burned through the sheets.
Yeah, that thing is charred.
Oh, my gosh.
Look at that.
Ugh.
Ooh.
I just feel so bad for the guy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so do you think that Berlina got what she deserved?
Nah. I think she should have gotten a lot worse punishment than just, minimum of 12 years.
I think that she should have got at least manslaughter because it was the result of her actions that ended his life.
Right, exactly.
In my opinion.
And they already said it was premeditated.
Mhm.
She bought it from Amazon. Out of all places to buy it from, she didn't even want to be discreet about it. You know what I mean? That's how stupid you are.
It's on her Amazon history.
Yes, it's in your orders. If you go on her account right now,
She bought sulfuric acid.
yeah, it will say buy again.
Hopefully,
Sulfuric acid.
hopefully you can't buy that anymore.
Oh yeah, no, that's for sure. I hope not, because like I said, I thought like stuff like this only were able to be purchased by either doctors, scientists, or labs and stuff like
apparently
that.
not.
Schools. But anyone could get it from Amazon. That means anyone could be splashed by acid, and
Yeah.
you won't even know. What if someone, those spray bottles, right?
Mhm. What if somebody had it in there?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
You know the fake sneeze that they do
Dude.
as a prank?
That would be a weapon.
Dude,
That'd be a gun
exactly.
pretty much.
What if you have a freaking
Like a water
a
gun?
water gun that pumps like freaking 50 feet far? That's, oh my goodness.
That's a dangerous weapon right there.
And you won't see anyone maybe like a mask or anything like that.
Mhm.
You won't know.
Yeah.
Next thing you know, you're melting in the streets. You're gonna become part of the pavement.
I hope that this doesn't become a more common thing.
I am surprised that it's not, when you can grab it from Amazon.
Apparently
That's the crazy thing.
I know, yeah. No, apparently though it is getting more common in like the UK. That's for like
Oof.
gang related violence too.
Oof.
Like that's
Jesus,
insane.
I hope like they just ban that from being able to buy it.
I hope not anybody.
What's the use of it by the public? What is?
I
What is
mean,
the
I
use of it?
assume like maybe scientists use it for some type of reason. But
No, I
like,
know that's for sure. But what am I gonna use it for, Glenn?
cleaning supplies.
What am I gonna clean with if I can't even touch the thing? You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't make sense that I could buy this from online
Amazon. I don't
and
know.
Amazon at that.
Phew.
It's ridiculous.
It's ridiculous.
The whole crime, how it happened, it's ridiculous. She should have never had any access to that freaking acid.
Exactly, and I think that's exactly how it could have been prevented.
Right.
If she had limited access to these types of things, because
For sure.
if anybody had access, anybody,
Right.
in this case, anybody did have access to
Right.
it, somebody can use it for the wrong
Yeah.
reasons,
Yeah.
and this is exactly what happened.
And like you said, it's being used by gangs in other countries right now, which is pretty scary.
Yeah, that's one way to prevent it. Regulate this
Wow.
acid online. Like, how is it that everybody can just get it? That's crazy.
I don't get it. That's so like stupid, dude.
Yeah.
I need a freaking tattoo license to get freaking needles and inks.
Mm-hmm.
How can you get acid?
That's crazy.
I need a license to get any of those equipments, like legally. I need to show them something that I work at a tattoo shop. I'm not gonna use those needles for like to hurt anybody or anything like that.
Uh-huh.
And if I do, they have my freaking ID on record.
Yeah, you have a license.
Exactly.
There's a number and everything.
And yeah, she should have gotten at least life in prison, dude. This is ridiculous. She wasn't charged for like manslaughter and murder, which it led to that point.
It led to
where
his
he
death.
died. Yeah.
I mean, it led to him being in such a horrible condition that death was the only option.
Yeah.
All right. So, thanks for watching, guys. This was the horrific case of Mark Van Dongen. Our condolences to his friends and family. Berlina is a total monster, and Mark did not deserve to suffer in this way.
Yeah. And this is one of those episodes that, again, I'm going to say you can't really enjoy this type of episode. You can maybe like the content that was in it. And if you did, leave us a thumbs up, leave a comment, subscribe, click that notification bell button so that you know when we're uploading these videos. With that being said, again, my name is Jen.
And I'm Glenn, and welcome to the Night Parade.